Hey everyone, this is Certified High Performance Coach Michelle Weimer here with you today, and we are continuing our conversation on Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements. So if you don't have it yet, I'll be sure that I have a link in today's post to go with this so that you can grab that book for yourself. It's a short read, but such a great practical application for how to really, have a happy life by implementing these four simple agreements that we've been talking about. So today we are talking about the third agreement, which is simply don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. So I'm going to read a quote to you from the book, and then we'll talk about what this concept really means. Okay, Don Miguel says, find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. So, question for you, have you ever made an assumption about someone or about a situation and then realized later that your assumption caused a lot of unnecessary pain or drama in your life? I would be willing to bet everyone can say yes to that question. So here's what happens, right? What happens when you make an assumption? It's really simple. What happens is you believe something without proof that it's true. You assume something without proof of knowing that it's true. And it usually happens in two common ways, right? So the two common ways that you assume is you assume that you know something. So again, maybe you think you know something about someone's character, about their behaviors or their beliefs or their feelings or their thoughts. Maybe you assume you know something about a situation or how a situation is going to turn out. Or the other most common way that we assume is that we assume that someone else knows something, that they know something without us having to communicate that. And quite honestly, lack of communication or poor communication is probably the largest cause of unnecessary pain and drama in most people's lives, right? So, when Don Miguel says following this one simple agreement can completely transform your life, I think it's true, right? Because there's so much unnecessary hurt and, drama that comes from assuming, from miscommunication, or from thinking that we know something about someone or about a situation, how it's going to turn out, or that someone else knows someone or should act a certain way. So let me give you a couple of examples. If you have ever said, well, she should just know, or if you've ever wanted, a significant other or someone important in your life to behave a certain way or to do something for you, but you've never communicated that to them, you're making an assumption, right? If you have assumed something about someone's character, or in this instance, it might be even called making a judgment about someone based on maybe how they look or something along those lines, who they are on the physical side, you make an assumption about who they are internally. That's another way that we assume. And so these ways that you make assumptions, what it does is it really boxes you in, right? It sets a lot of limitations. It sets you up. Number one, when you make an assumption about someone or something, some outcome, and you just think it is so without really knowing the facts or having more information, it often leaves you looking quite foolish, right? Because it's not always as it appears. And number two, then when you assume somebody knows something else or is going to do something without you communicating clearly, that usually sets you up for disappointment, right? So how do you shift from that? Well, it's as simple as asking questions communicating. And I know for some people it's hard to ask questions. It can feel very uncomfortable to either ask a question or to ask for what you need. But when you don't do that and you make an assumption, then you're setting yourself up, right? So if you were going to shift this one simple concept and stop making assumptions and start communicating better, right? Communicating more clearly what your needs are, or asking questions, making sure that people know what you need, or making sure that you know what others need, making sure that you know for a fact about someone instead of assuming you know what they think or what they believe or what they feel. So if you have ever said, "Oh, I know she just probably thinks that I'm blah 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 blah," or I know they just think that they can get away with this or that. Like, and I know I'm being very negative. It's not always a negative thing. Sometimes we just assume somebody's going to take care of something for us. I've talked to, well, I've done it myself. Like, we've all done it, right? I might assume that my husband's going to take care of something. But unless I communicate to him that I need him to take care of something, he may not know that. He may not realize that that's something that I need him to do for me. And here's the thing, a lot of our assumptions, they're based on our own perceptions or what we know or our past experiences. But what we have to remember is that other people are behaving and thinking and showing up in their lives based on their experiences. So we can't assume that everybody thinks or behaves just like we do. Because again, when we do that, we set ourselves up for a lot of disappointment and a lot of extra pain in our lives because of this assumption that they're thinking what we're thinking, or we know what they're thinking, or they know what we're thinking. And the reality is, unless you're a mind reader or you know someone who is, there's no way to know unless you communicate and you ask and you find out the truth, or you ask for what you need. So I want to really encourage you, start this practice. Stop assuming and start communicating, because again, it's going to make a big difference in your life, in your happiness, in your joy, and in your success. So next week we're going to cover the fourth agreement, and I think you'll like that one a lot. So I want you to make sure that you stay with me and you stay tuned, and then you meet me here again next week. And again, grab the book. I'll have the link in today's post. And if you haven't read it yet, it's a short read, but such a great practical implementation for simple rules that you can live by to create a happier, more joyful life. So thank you again for joining me today. This is Certified High Performance Coach Michelle Weimer, and I will look forward to seeing you here again next week. Bye for now.